games from there. It felt like there was a bit of panic coming through from them, especially in the league play. I think there was particularly that one game where they were playing up against Team Secret on Miramar, I believe it was, and they just left the compound, and it felt like a bit of a panic play to me, and they weren't able to make it happen. There is skill in that team, for sure, and I'm loving the rotation so far, but I just want to see a bit more of that oomph.
Bit more oomph there from Blank. That's what we want to see. First circle is going to pop, and it's a little bit more heavily on the northwestern edge, which means that the river will be a main feature moving forwards. North or south, the choice is theirs.
All right, so we're looking at teams like Aerowolf Limax, Futbolist. They might be in a bit of a struggle bus here. Obviously, Futbolist heading down towards Novo. Aerowolf Limax very much down towards Sosnovka at the moment. This is what they like to do. They send Super Una down towards the bridge side, make sure no one's going to come off the cross too quickly. And I kind of agree with this, especially when you got Nova XQF in this area. We know they like to take fights early. But let's have a quick conversation about that, John.
All right.
Because Nova XQF, we saw how prominent they were in terms of fighting capability during the league play, right? And they were just absolutely blasting anyone and everyone in their way. But do you think that's going to continue here in the Super Week? Do you think they're going to tone it back a little bit? Wait to bring out that fighting prowess towards the end of games?
Well, that's the thing as well. You have to remember that the teams have been chopping and changing. You know, they haven't all played with each other a lot. So the fact that we're now gonna see 15 games on the trot with this specific lobby, I think this is where things will start to calm down. So potentially you could be right with that. They might just start to rein it in a little bit, maybe play a little bit more passive once everybody else seems to have figured out their rotations or something similar.
I mean, even just looking at the map right now, we know that Nova XQF like to mess around with Abrupt Slayers quite frequently towards Gatka. Abrupt Slayers a little bit more split here, thinking, you know what, if we're not all in the same place, then we can't be all killed at the same time by XQF. We can just cut our losses here instead. But Nova XQF, instead playing a little bit more of a split down underneath RRQ, who are currently in Pachinki, have claimed that area. But I think the major swath of teams is actually towards the eastern side with Bluebees, Loops. You've got your teams like Bigetron down here as well as Konina Power. There are a goddamn lot of teams on this area who need to make their way across the western side of the map. And to do this, they're going to have to do some pretty damn good scouting, because we've seen from other games, and Max did a beautiful little telestration on it as well for us, where Nova XQF were trying to get up towards Georgia Pole. Obviously, they wanted to get into the shooting range area where the circle was, but they were being gatekept by Na'Vi. And you saw XQF go up to Mount Everest, give that some good scouting ahead, and then change their position going forward. Here for these eastern teams, they're going to have to do that a whole lot more, because there isn't that many options available to them. XQF had 3 different rotational paths, and to be honest with you, on this eastern side, you're going to be much more constricted.
What's interesting about that as well is that Power AAA actually dropped a little bit further west, and they got cars and drove towards Milta Power, which means that they will have pre-scouted just a little bit. It means they'll be aware of which teams are where, which paths might be more open to them. The question in my mind is, do they know about Bluebees? Because if they do, then they can start to skirt, you know, they can plot their path past Prison, past Mansion, and try and swing around near Stalba potentially. Or they might just try and send it in through if they can loot up early. But I don't know if they're going to be able to, given that they rotated in there late.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting actually. Loops, we're seeing them actually push a little deeper into the eastern side with vehicles, so potentially getting ready to hold back some teams. I think that's a pretty decent way of stopping yourself being caught up in a load of crossfires. We just get rid of the teams on the east first before we start to make our way in. But let's take a quick look at Execute though. They're not on our screens right now, but they're up in Georgia Pole, and they've taken precedent of where Na'Vi likes to drop. So again, guys over on the desk there doing the analysis. These guys have been crunching the numbers. They've been looking at the maps. They're saying, you know, these guys have to do that same kind of research in the meantime. And it feels like Execute, they've done their research. Like, look, this is free. We can take this. It's going to get us nice and set up. And especially with this type of circle, they're in a really good position going forward, John.
Yeah, they'll be looking to try and get some valuable territory in the next few minutes. Of course, the early game, very, very valuable for setting yourself up, right? That's where you plan for success in these early circles.
We saw that graph at the beginning of the day as well, John, and we got Loops on our screen. Dardine, 1,000 damage ahead of everyone else in that top 5. That is incredible. And you know, we were talking about Dardine quite often when we were seeing him in fights, where he was that kind of that off-angle specialist for them, where they sent him back and his job was just to pummel that damage into people. Sure, he might not have got a lot of kills that way, but what he was certainly doing is, you know, beating up the opponents, bruising them, battering them a little bit, just like putting them slightly down, not necessarily getting rid of them, but you know, he just continues to put in that work, and that is absolutely fantastic. That's what you want from your like off-angle specialist who's playing from long range.
You may come out victorious, but you will not emerge without becoming black and blue all over from a fight with this guy. He's absolutely insane when it comes to the gunplay. See if he's able to continue that here in the Super Weekend.
See that transition?
Parkour.
Parkour. I mean, the observers literally transition from one dude like dropping down to another dude in the same animation. I love that.
Beautiful stuff. Alpha 7, currently, they are on the northern side of the river, just north of Rozhok there. They made their way up to the top side. They actually did drop on the south edge, so they have chosen to go up here, Blank. And we'll see if that pays off for them, see where the next circle shifts.
4AM on our screen right now. Sook here from 4AM. Now, this is a really good team. And we saw a little bit of their stats earlier today, doing some pretty decent work. Very different playstyle to Nova XQF, though, in the league play. At least they are just passing by Alpha 7. Very difficult to attack this compound once a team gets set up in it, especially with the 3-tiered building. But right now, Alpha 7 aren't within the compound. 4AM just scouting it out, seeing what's happening, but now Loops are on the case as well.
Yeah, and they're currently playing in a 2-1-1 split. Loops on that rotation. They've left someone back towards shelter. There's someone who hasn't crossed the bridge just yet. Kajovski is the closest to the duo up front for Loops.
But Dadin is
Federal
far.
and Carrillo. Dadin is really far away over towards shelter. We'll see if Loops can slip by unnoticed. Well, they're not going to be so lucky. Alpha 7 have spotted them. They've got their number. Federal takes a lot of damage, but seems like he's just behind that ridgeline. 4 angry men, however, might hear this, stop, and try and capitalize on the chaos.
I think, to be honest with you, 4AM will probably just leave this. Like I said before, that is a really difficult compound to actually hit, especially with the amount of floors you have to cover. Because with other buildings where it's only 2-tiered, you can throw grenades into the top side, try and get a knock there, clear out the first floor, and go from there going forward. But with 3 tiers, there's so much more to clear, and it means you need so much more utility on board. And to be honest, this is still technically quite early game. You do not want to be giving up your smokes, you don't want to be giving up your grenades right now.
Need to keep those on board for later. But of course, the benefit, if you can capitalize on the use of those smokes, you can take the opponent's smokes, you can take their utility, because of course everybody's going to be looting up. It's a question of return on investment, right? So if you're looking at it purely from a numbers perspective, which I often like to do.
I know you do.
It's something that if you're confident you can win the fight, you should be taking it.
We're just going to see Futbolist trying their best to get through. This is pretty open ground here. You can see lots of shots coming through. Konina Power making their way out from Milta. They would love to get into this circle. Bluebees are already ahead. They waited for Loops to move first, but now they have pretty much clear pickings of the surrounding area. Look at this. There's a bit of car warfare.
Now on the road they go. Konina Power, though, getting the first knock. Solke traded off, though, as AXA takes a knee too. Lutz out in the blue. They have the pin on the position. They have the vehicles as well. This is a interesting ridgeline as Konina Power actually go aggressive here. Onto Solke. They want to finish off this kill. Black-White dominates the ridgeline, and they have the edge of the circle. Lutz trying to cross the road, but the rest of Futbolist trying to suppress as they go. Solke again. I think that was another knock. Rodini not quite landing the shot there from the Bolty. Not engaging in the one-tap dirt nap action.
And they will just leave. And I'm completely okay with this right now. Futbolist, they're down on the look. Konina Power just want to get out of here. They got 1 knock, they got 1 point, but there is more points to be had in this game, and those points will be had in the next circle, which they still need to make their way on over to. Here's Execute versus Team Secret Jin. This is pretty open ground. Nice little ridgeline there for them to play around. You can see there's Zute trying to get behind the tree and behind the hillside. Very well played, and Execute will just leave this fight.
Yeah, they have disengaged, managed to get to the compound. The question is, do Team Secret Gen try and follow this up, try and push on in?
Well, that's Mad Toy from across the map as well with that DP getting a knock onto 4AM Sook, but it looks like 4AM in a pretty okay position. Team Secret could push this. Right now, we'll keep an eye on this fight between Execute as well as Team Secret Jin. Execute down 1 player already.
They are currently in the circle, just to the southwestern edge of shooting range, so they will be all right to maybe put a wait order on that one. However, there's teams coming in from the western edge, Blake.
Yeah, 2 teams in particular. You've got Abrupt Slayers as well as Digital Athletics. Both teams pretty damn good. Abrupt Slayers definitely went underneath the radar for us in league play, but looking back, they had a massive jump on day 2 to make sure they got here into the Super Weekend. No, the fights are starting to come off big time. Again, I've talked about this before, how the lobby is very central. That's 2 knocks onto Bluebees. Alpha 7 holding it down.
Chilling out for now. The Bluebees, they dropped all the way over in Lipovka, and they're coming in from the eastern side here. Divine will get smoked up. Aita Chan as well. A little bit further up, a little bit harder to get to. A nice nade. Is it far enough? Not quite. But Divine takes a lot of damage. Oh, Vitu2K trying to just hit those shots and confirm that kill. This might be good. That nade seemed to be on the ball a little bit long. Oh, and I think Divine's going to be able to get up off that one. Lufa gets the res. Aita-chan scouting all the way up to the wall on bended knee. Does get finally finished off by Swagwin. Senatexa tries to send on forwards. Lufa alone behind the truck. I think they got the off angle, and I think Divine went down in the meantime. Lufa falls.
That's it.
Disaster.
Great stuff from Alpha 7, though. They set themselves perfectly up for that fight. And I mean, they took advantage of just that immense amount of times that Blue Bees invested into trying to get one of their players back up again. They do have one other player, Reiji, who is very far out of the way on the eastern side, just to the north of Rozhok. Execute. Still fairly happy in their position, though. Going back to talk about them really quick, they have Aerowolf Limax now coming up them, but Loops have made their way just underneath Severny towards the hillside, and that is where they'll stay for the time being. Team Secret, again, we saw that nice little knock coming through from Mad Toy with the DP, but now they're going against 4AM. 4AM currently have the high ground.
Dropping the nades downhill. Can be pretty good. Difficult to cook them right, but if you get it, oh my goodness me, is it delicious. Lands the nade and Rex goes down. There's no way they're going to be able to get that back either. Team Secret lose a player in unfortunate circumstances with High Boy going down earlier as well. They're down to 2.
Next circle comes through. And goddamn, we get this circle so often, don't we, John, where it's on the rivers, small island in between, really cuts up the amount of space you can actually play. And we've got 16 teams still in this lobby. It is certainly going to be one hefty little circle shift here in terms of kills as well as team wipes. But the entirety of the south side of the circle is completely free right now, John. Free real estate, as some might call it. And, you know, it's time to buy.
Goodness. Yeah, they're going to be snapping that up. The markets are hot for buyers right now. Everybody made their way north of the river, so the teams now all have to try and push back down towards the northern coast, which will be such a hot spot. Nobody's on the south edge. Nobody controls near Everest. Nobody controls near Ruins. So potentially, if someone's able to get there early, they might be in luck. And guess who's made that move early? Reiji from Blue Bees.
That one guy!
He's like, you know what?
The south side is mine.
I'm not going to find a snake spot on the northern shore. I go and control the entirety of the south. But Bigetron, they've also made this rotation down south.
I mean, Bigetron like to do this a lot, where they really do bide their time towards the early game. And that's why, I guess that's why they like to play farm so often, is because they don't have to immediately walk into the circle there, and they can do a lot of scouting going forwards. Right now, they're just passing through Rozhok, looking for a position. We know they have taken up gas station frequently before, and it's a great spot as well. We have overlook onto the rivers as people try and swim across, but this is going to be difficult. Here's Nova XQF, though, just rocking up on Team Secret.
iShots is giving his last stand, but unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. They are eliminated. They do go down in 16th. Not the greatest start to their Super Weekend, but the Abrupt Slayers peppering away towards RRQ. So they see themselves to safety. Only 2 players in RRQ as well. We're dropping quite a few players, but not that many teams. A lot of solos, a lot of duos, or a single player going down from a lot of these squads.
That's Order actually leaving the game as well from Nova XQF. But now we've got another fight on our screen. This is what I'm saying. Things are going to start to get very, very spicy very quickly. Carrillo taking a huge amount of damage. Steps up for a second.
Has to fall it back. Power 888, 2 players standing right now. Maybe looking to go for the res, but it's a little bit far afield. No, that is going to get confirmed, and Loops pick it up. Loops with all 4 alive will be able to get that healing on, jump in those vehicles, and figure out where they want to go next, because of course they still have to push in.
This is a very interesting circle. You know what? Loops are actually going to head out of the blue.
Futbolists are in the way, though.
Rotate this way. Lovesin is actually going to move straight back into the circle. I remember Futbolists are down a player, so they really don't want to take too many fights right now unless they are coalesced. The next circle is going to pop soon. Bigetron could get very lucky with this one holding towards the west side of Rozhok. Wow. But look at that. That is disgusting. And Reiji, king of the south.
He is just chilling right now. He's big chilling, as
big
Dave would
chilling,
like to say, as Moustache Dave likes to say. RRQ made that move down south as well. They are in a prime location right now to try and control the 2 bridges that are are available to move down south. Abrupt Slayers make the move very, very fast, and Nova XQF are guarding on the northern edge. It is such a difficult circle now, and this northern side is just chaos.
It is really bold that Nova XQF is going to stay here, though. They have easy access to this bridge. They could find a position, but again, you're uncertain whether there's another team in this area. Bigetron making that wide swing underneath, and there's a nice little shot there from Team Secret Jin to keep themselves in the game.
Lutz cooks a nade behind the plane wing, lobs it over. Is it good? A little bit far maybe, but it's got some damage on. A nade in response, and they've got the off angle as well. Lutz just tries to get anything he can. Such a difficult spot to play from. And as you said, Futbolist, they're down to 2 with one of them down on that wing. They're going to have to try and figure something out. You can see in the picture-in-picture as well, plenty of fights going on right now for Abrupt Slayers and RRQ. The res comes through for Futbolist as the crash comes in on the compound. Secret Jin disengage.
Execute making that quick decision there. That's Abrupt Slayers actually just completely running over RRQ's position. But Execute just currently playing on the bridge here versus Power 888. It is just KPS in the water here. Kill Switch looking for him, but Nova XQF still holding this position with Paraboy off playing long distance here. Again, I'm saying this is very confident. Nova XQF, even with 3 players, confident they can hold this position, or maybe just uncertain that there isn't that many teams on the south side, and this is their best bet at holding on to this game.
Well, they managed to find one. Of course, that's instant kill. There's no knocks in the water. Silas looking to swim towards the shoreline. They dropped the smokes out. As you can see, he's jumped in the car to be able to throw those nades from underwater, so he's able to cover that push up the shoreline. It's Fate not taking any chances, though, not leaving it up to Fate as he pushes in with that micro Uzi. Silas has managed to make the way up towards that shoreline. It's Fate dips into the water to get some locations.
Ooh.
And with that, they just point them straight out. Loop's got eliminated.
Federal naded Carrillo.
Uh-oh.
And they went out like that. What was that? I'd like to see a replay on that one. But very quickly, though, just amongst all this chaos, Reiji is still alive on the south side. BTR actually went straight past him. Now, there's absolutely no way that any team makes the southeast rotation to get into the circle. So if we get a southeast shift on this next circle, Reiji is going to be in a fantastic spot to start laddering up for Bluebees.
Get those placement points on, my boy. We'll see how much further he can go. But Zute's gone down. Execute. They looked like they had a strong spot, but with everybody pushing in from the north, creating so much pressure, it is difficult for them to play the way they want to. Klas Digital Athletics right now still have Silas alive. He's in the vehicle underwater, so safe for the moment. Execute. Only 2 players alive, and Zute will have to get rezzed. They're under pressure, as I said, though, from multiple fronts.
Perhaps this is what Nova XQF were worried about, is that making that bridge push too early could have led to them being tripped up on that bridge side, just like Execute have been there. It only took a few players from Power 888, even though they weren't doing too much, just to cause a little stoppage in their rotation, after which Abrupt Slayers have started to do damage onto them. Digital Athletics started to involve themselves as well in that fight, but now Nova XQF in a decent position, but we do get another south shift. Now Reiji has to make some cheeky little maneuvers here. He can head down to the water, but look at these nades coming over the top from Alpha 7.
Oh no! Oh, it's brutal. Oh, blank, please make it stop. Konina Power just getting bombarded right now, but fortunately, there are a lot of other players waiting in the wings. They just keep going. Okay, and another one, and another one, and another one. Let's see how many more have you got in the back pocket, Alpha 7. How much are you going to invest here, and how much are you going to get in return?
You are a bold man throwing that one in the smoke. Imagine if that just bounced back in and killed both Rob Deeney and Black White. Rob Deeney has a lot of faith in his teammate there, I'll tell you that now.
Just trying to be a little bit scary. They're like, we're a big scary team. Don't come anywhere near us.
Hands out wide.
Yeah, they're making themselves look big.
Come on then! I'll give it you!
And they really don't want this fight. It's 2 versus 4. They're trapped in the shack, and the nades just keep on going. Oh my goodness me!
That's the one.
I mean, if you throw 100 nades, one of them's going to land.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was good moves from Konina Power to lay down the smokes to try and obscure that vision onto that tiny little slit in the side of that shack there to make sure they couldn't get the nades through. But like you said, it was just a matter of time if you've got that many nades on board. But while we can confidently say that Alpha 7 is down on utility, so if you see them later on. Now, Nova XQF currently in the water. We're going to quick replay on the screen.
Ah, this is the nade that threaded the needle, I believe. Oh no, this is the initial roll-up that caused them to go so low. Loop's just going down. Oh, he pushed in on top of his teammate's nade.
That is very upsetting.
That's unfortunate.
So it wasn't intentional. We can make it seem that way. Either way, it would have been accidental, right? But like it was one of those very unfortunate moments.
Certainly is. Nova XQF will have to push down south as I think, yeah, the Blue Bees did get eliminated.
I was going to say, where's Rage?
Yeah, he did go down in the midst of all that chaos. Bigetron now guarding out from the south edge. They made that push down south on the eastern side very, very early, if you remember, I mentioned it. Now they've managed to find a compound in towards Ruins. They control so much of this circle, and the crossing is brutal for everybody else.
Yeah, Alpha 7 starting to take damage as well. That fight with Konina Power, although it went well, it took so much time to complete. Nova SQF currently in the water, and look at these fishermen just guarding on the bank of this side. Just got fishing nets out in the water, trying to see what kind of points they could reel back in.
They've been throwing the chump, and all the piranhas are like, ooh, let's take a position here on the shoreline. This will be good. But now they all have to fight off against each other as Nova XQF suffer pretty heavily there. Power Boy falls as well, and they get eliminated on the cross. Execute. They still have their Lone Ranger kill switch, but he's pinned down right now by 4 angry men.
Hasaki would love to get that headshot there, but it's Bigetron. Quite silent in this game. They had a nice little rotation, probably one of the smarter rotations in this lobby, just to wait it out, see where it goes. And we've seen them play this circle many times before, so they are 100% experienced with this at this point. Now they're in a pretty decent spot. IGL Zuxi has moved up into the circle itself as it heads up towards the northwest side. But 4 AM, they can get a nice firm position on the north side.
Don't forget about
Silas is getting into this.
Don't forget about Abrupt Slayers, though. All 4 of them are still alive, and they are really disengaged from a lot of these fights. They're starting to chime in now as Zuxi takes a drop there. Will get sprayed on as well, confirmed by Joker. They're starting to be a player now into the rest of these circles because they have the southwestern edge. They're going to look to push forwards to control so much of this ground because 4 angry men are trapped on this shoreline. And there's still a third party to come in as well. Klas Digital Athletics, they get eliminated, but they get a point for their trouble. Bigetron, in the meantime, they've only had 1 kill right now, Blank, but 4 angry men, 13.
Fantastic position from them. We saw similar things from them on Sandhawk. I believe it was day 2, where they'd got a really damn good position, cleared their angles effectively, and now they just have to hold this down. Obviously, Abrupt Slayers here, they're going to have to move, but right now, for the time being, they have a nice spot on the hillside ridge. 4 AM though, Hasaki is pretty close, so pretty far away from his team, and it's Svan over on this side with Sinhei actually just holding it down. Now, I'm very curious to see what 4 AM does next, because I know they want to get rid of Bigetron. That's how they're posturing right now.
But look at the high ground afforded to Abrupt Slayers right now. Such a difficult position to play around unless you manage to get all these knocks coming on through. And of course, both of them have vested interest in making this happen. Hasaki has been spotted out now, lobs a Molotov towards the Rock of Horizon. Not going to be able to do any tick damage just yet. The Cook comes through, but he's spotted on the off angle. Oh, the MK14's just going to plink you down, Ryzen. Will fall, and 4 angry men. They're safer now.
It's such a good rotation from Bigetron, but if you go out here with only 1 kill in the pocket, it is horrendous. You really want this win. You invested a lot of patience into making this happen.
I mean, you say horrendous, but they've already guaranteed themselves 11 points on the game.
Oh, absolutely. But taking that rotation, not affording yourself any kills, to take such a strong position and not get at least that number 2 spot feels really bad.
It's not maximum payoff, certainly, but they have got a whole chunk of points, but really it's 4 angry men who've got so many more than everybody else at the moment. 14 points, almost as much as just the chicken dinner on its own for those placements, but they still have a little bit more to go. How much further can they get? Of course, there's 6 points still available, so they could potentially manage to get up to a 20-kill game on that chicken dinner.
Again, see, during the league play, I kept saying I was a big fan of how 4AM were playing. It feels like they've really stepped it up here in our angle. And it's not a case of like they've changed anything. It just feels like they've elevated their already positive qualities. I'm really loving to see it. Nice rotations, great long-range fighting, and just very, very calculated moves around the map, especially in high-pressure situations like this, where you've got to deal with a river, you've got to deal with these awful little split, like crunch pushes where you've only got a bridge to rotate across from. Really well done. Now, Abrupt Slayers, they have to move down the hillside. Circle shifts away from them here. So really, you're wondering whether 4 AM and Bigetron might work together to try and take out this 4-man team. It would make sense in this situation.
I'll tell you who's happy about this spot, though, is the South Asia fans right now. The Abrupt Slayers obviously representing their region. in those missions and starting things off very, very well. Looking likely to unlock some of those rewards for our viewers, for our players as well in the South Asia region. So good job them so far, kicking things off well, but they have to go a little bit further if they want their chicken dinner.
Obviously, Bigetron wrapping it up for SEA2 here. That's Joker going down. And this is exactly what I was talking about. It's like, for this time being, 4 AM and Bigetron can ignore one another. The big threat to both of them right now in not getting his top 2 spots is Abrupt Slayers.
And they're stopping them from getting into the circle. Abrupt Slayers keep moving forwards and keep taking ground. And at the moment, Foreign and Bigetron both have to move forwards to get into this next circle. Joker does get killed, does get flushed as well, so their high ground a little bit diminished there. Bigetron now can look to start to move in and get an extra kill point as well. That's very, very notable there.
So, Chari moving forward, just trying to scout out the terrain ahead. Nades now coming through from 4 AM as Abrupt Slayers get closer and closer to nade distance. And oh my god, Molotov into grenade. You are donezoed.
It's going to be that for them, but we'll see how much further they can get. 2 players now for the Abrupt Slayers. 5 kills still on the cards. A little bit of a standoff developing, Blank, but they get the shift. It goes on top of the Abrupt Slayers, and now 4 Angry Men and Bigetron have to fight.
Absolutely, they do. 4AM needs to shift attention towards Bigetron. They cannot have a thorn in their side as they try to deal with these remaining 2 players from Abrupt Slayers. Abrupt Slayers not going to show their face not quickly at all here. You can see Leon going to drop that backpack, puts it back on again, but that kind of indicates they're going to go for the snaking position going forward, right? Leave 4AM to deal with Bigetron, who is far closer to them. But nice little shift here on the circle goes towards Abrupt Slayers. Like you were saying, John, now they don't have to move.
They can chill, unless they get spotted. Speaking of getting spotted, oh dear. Oh my goodness me, retribution from across the way. Bigetron get dethroned, 12 points, and that's the situation you said you didn't want to see.
Yeah, unfortunate for Bigetron there. 12 points though, nothing to scoff at, like you were saying, John. But now it is a 2v2, make that a 2v1.
Goodness me, a knock found for 4 Angry Men, but Shinhei is spotted in the grass, around the edge, but he's low, and 4 Angry Men crawl their way through the river, across the way, get out, they dominate the shoreline, and they leverage